we are joined with Anthony Lucito of the Spear, and Anthony has a bit of a different role than others writers here. So, what Anthony does is specifically he really specializes in the magazine design, and we just had our 50th Spear magazine. So the Spear was established, I believe, in 2016, and now in 2022 we've had our 50th edition of the Spear magazine. So this was a very special edition. Anthony had his hands all over this one in designing it, and so we're going to break it down. So Anthony, thanks for coming on the show.
It's good to be here.
All right. So real quick, just more in general, what goes into just designing the Spear magazine? Where do you start? I mean, you basically just have a blank page and you have to figure out how to fill it with ink. You have a few stories, but you don't really have much guidance on graphics and things like that. So how does that, how do you even begin that process?
Yeah, the entire designing process is it can be stressful since you're working with the editors, the reporters. So first off, we get the stories from the reporters. The editors clean that up, make final edits, and we receive the stories, the final stories, and the pictures that come along with it. And sometimes people will provide a layout that they envision. Um, I know that's the case for this magazine. We received a couple like layout designs that the editors and the reporters wanted, so we worked off of that. But usually, we're just working off blank templates. When we make our magazine designs, we have to look at the story and see how it's written. So like, if it's an energetic story, we try to make it energetic. If it's something nostalgic, we try to have a nostalgic feel. So it depends on the content of the story, and from there, the designers, we just do our magic and we start from scratch and make our designs. And when we have the rough draft, we show it off to the editors and the lead designer, which is Kylie. And we get feedback from each other, make any corrections that need to be made, and we send off those final versions to Kylie, and she's the one that sends it off to the printer and make sure everything's good and ready to go.
And also just how much time do you have to turn that sort of thing around? Like when is it? How much time do you have from start to finish to get this magazine from basically just a bunch of words on a page to something that really comes to life?
Not gonna lie, we don't have that much time to, you know, from start to finish. Um, I know for this magazine, we only had like a week, maybe less than a week to get everything done. So we have like a strict deadline for things. It can be frustrating because people don't get their stories in, or people don't have enough images, or what have you. If it goes by very quick, very strict deadlines, and
Yeah, kind of to go on top of, you have such a short deadline, and I'm sure like you also have a lot of other things, on your plate, just in terms of school or maybe just life stuff in general. So what's kind of the balance for you when you're working on the magazine, but also, trying to take care of other stuff?
just in like journalism, the realm of journalism and mass communications, you have to prioritize what's more important, and all that. It's really like you have to manage your time wisely. I know for this magazine, we met at 3 a.m. in the morning to discuss final changes, and you just have to do it if you want like a good finished product. Um, I would say for me personally, it's been manageable doing both reporting and the magazine. Uh, well, because I've had like manage my time wisely, and yeah.
Awesome. So, real quick, I wanted to get, like you said earlier, we have some more unconventional or just different kind of designs for this 50th edition, and we pointed out a few at the beginning that we wanted to highlight here. So, real quick, we got the 50th edition cover up right now for our audience. Break down what went into this. I mean, I know you were a part of the design process for this, so you know from a lay perspective, how do you break down this sort of design? How do you approach it?
Yeah, the cover went through many iterations. So we had one designer working on it, and we were giving him feedback. Um, and it changed multiple times, and to where it is now. You have to get pictures from each of the other stories, figure out which pictures to use. Um, you also need to find out the composition. Like some people are facing a certain way, so you want them to be on one side and the other people on the other side. That's one thing to take into consideration. We also, for this magazine, we wanted a very distinct and gold cover to make it special since this is the 50th edition. So we had the spear and the 50th letters in gold. We had like this pyramid shape, and yeah, that's pretty much what went into making this cover.
And I don't know. I guess just in terms of, you know, this is not just one picture, right? It's a compilation. Just minutes, hours. What sort of time? How much time do you think it would have taken just to make this one page?
Yeah, usually we use one image for the cover, as you can see from previous magazines. In this cover, we did like a little cutout thing. We had multiple images from the other stories. This took a while since we were like making version over version over version. So I would say around 2 to 3 days of just editing for this cover.
Wow, 2 to 3 days total.
Yeah, not like 2 3 days total, but like uh few hours every day.
Well, so let's go again to the next. Again, this is the 50th edition, so there's a lot of special journalism, special sort of layouts in the magazine. But this one featured one of the more unique layouts I think that we've just had in general in our magazines, and that's the Dak and Burb's Ducktales, right? Julia wrote the piece, right? But I think what really helps make the story is sort of the layout here and just the different Polaroid pictures you got, just the outlet, the little drawings and the margins and that sort of thing. Where do you even start when you think of doing a layout like this?
Yeah, again, for the 50th, it really showed us what we can do in terms of magazine and design layout. Julia's the one that sent the editors and myself what she wanted for the Dak and Burb story. So she sent us a little sketch of boxes and where she wants text to be. And I worked off that. Um, I did something similar in another journalism newspaper. So I had experience doing something like this. And what really helped was the amount of pictures Julia provided and the amount of detail she provided. Yeah, so Julia's was perfect. Like the pictures had the names and attributions, and it even had like what they're doing. So that made my job really easy, and it was just a matter of time of just putting everything together. There was some of the things in the Dak and Burb story I actually hand draw. So it was the Fresno State Bulldogs picture and the Spartan up picture.
Yeah.
Also, the Dak and Burb signatures on the bottom over there. That's actually their handwritten signature. So I asked Julia to get that for me, and I put that in there.
So you guys got you got the guys in the duck suits to just write their names, and you were able to like scan that in basically.
Yeah, I thought it would be cute, so I asked Julia if she could get their signatures. So, and then that's what happened.
Wow, that's awesome. And yeah, just I think this is one of the more unique things, and I don't know. For me, it totally makes the story, or just adds so many different layers to it. Just in general. Alex, you got anything to add just on this?
Yeah, I wanted to go into your drawings and stuff. I love it so much just because I feel like everything we mostly see in the magazine is a lot of just kind of like digital media. Like you look at if you just look at the tape, for this story, like that's obviously not hand drawn, but adding like that hand drawn element really makes this story stand out to my eyes. So I was wondering, how long did it take you, to draw the bulldog, draw the birds at the bottom?
So I do like art as a hobby, so it didn't take me that long to come up with those drawings. Um, I want to mention for the birds on the bottom, we that was such a cute idea I had. It just popped into my head like at the very beginning when I heard this story, and we were actually planning on having the birds walk across the bottom of the page progressively, so on each and every page. But we thought it was like, might not be good for some pages, so we left it out just for these two spreads. So yeah.
All right. Well, that's interesting just to know like the beginning ideas and then what the difference is between the final that and the final edition. So now we have the swimming story, and you were part of the design here for this one as well. Stories on Allie Chislett, who's a swimmer at San Jose State, and this will be more of a typical magazine design in terms of what we've had on previous ones. But what made this one challenging or unique for you to tackle?
Yeah, so this is a very traditional spear design cover page for a story. So you have the full image blown up, and you have the title. One of the types of titles that we like to use are like cutout titles. So that's for the word swimming. You have a block, a white block, and then you would cut out the text. And yeah, that's just something stylistically that we've always been doing, and uh, it is nice to look at. It's very clean. It fits, if you know what I mean.
I'm
And
actually interested in the picture. Is the blurriness effect of the picture just what is that how the picture came in, or did you guys have to edit the picture to make it look like that?
No, so the picture. I mean, it was blurry, but I added some more blurriness to the corner, um, so the white would pop. Yeah, so if you can see, there's like a blue tint in the bottom right corner, and I added that so the text can be seen more easily.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely see that now. I guess I just figured the coloring inside of the words was actually a part of the picture, but no, that's cool. I didn't know that.
awesome. And anything else in the actual on this second page of the story? Was there anything else that you had to deal with in terms of editing this page?
Nah, it's just a very traditional spear magazine design layout. We have the full images and the text. Something to add to note though is we've been adding a what's it called, a caption under the images. So not just the attribution, but actually what's going on in the image. So that's something we are also looking at and adding in future magazine design.
Oh, all right. Well, cool. So the last thing I wanted to analyze here, Anthony, was you did a history of the spear spread page, and this is something that, in my inexperienced eyes, this seems very intensive, and I just want to know, like, sort of, I mean, you were trying to kind of convey. There were so many different things, right? This is the history of the spear. Spear is now what you're doing. You're doing the 50th anniversary of the magazine, and also covering all in that 50th edition, all of the history up until that point. So, was this something where you kind of thought like, wow, like you know, I'm doing the history of this magazine, and I'm designing the 50th anniversary, and I'm doing, or not the 50th anniversary, the 50th edition of this magazine, and I'm the one that's putting together all of the history in this layout. Was there any sort of moment like that where you thought about that, or what was it like?
So it's more of like the editors want me to do like these spreads that were graphic heavy. So that was the Dak and Burb and the timeline. And going on the timeline, going on the timeline, I was actually given just a piece of paper with the dates and all that. No, like, sketch of what they wanted, just the content. So I had to figure out how to put this content in a way that looks good. Um, so one of the things that came up to mind was like Greek art and how they have like images of warriors and um, other historical figures on painted on walls and urns and stuff like that. So I tried to match that style. The clouds, there was okay. So it's funny because the clouds, it was a lot of images. So it's not just like one cloud. It's a lot of clouds copy and pasted. And when I sent that over to Kylie, it was like, she's like, "Well, Anthony, what the heck are you doing?" But it worked out pretty well. There were some issues with coloring, so Kylie pointed out that there were some issues with coloring. So Kylie pointed out during critique that some of the blacks were not the same black. And it's hard to see when you're working on this at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was doing the rough draft for this, I sent it over to the editors for them to look, and they actually told me, Max was like, "Hey Ernie, check your phone," and Ernie thought it was something bad, but then like, "Oh shoot, this is actually pretty cool." So that was pretty nice to hear, and yeah, that's pretty much what went into designing um, this spread. Another thing to add is I drew out the body. So I looked at images online and then I sketched it out myself and put it in. And yeah,
Wow, that's some incredible artwork. And I guess so. You sketched it out, and then I guess you would have to just sort of leave a little space for where the Spartan head was supposed to go.
yeah, that's what I did.
Oh, awesome. And yeah, is there any? I mean, I remember the two different blacks discussion, and I just thought black was black. I don't really know much about this sort of thing, anyways. But just maybe you could talk a little bit about sort of the level of scrutiny. The sort of how thorough you have to be in order to get every single page in a 30 plus page magazine perfect. What's that like to go through in a week?
Yeah, it can be difficult. That's usually um, put on Kylie's end since she like does the finalized version, but it's also the responsibility of the editors and the reporters and us as designers. Since we have our own stories that we're designing, we need to make sure that things are correct. There was another mistake I did with um, the last sentence of a story, and it's supposed to be the last name is a reporter of the Spear, but I added the full name, so the
Mm,
first and last name is the reporter of Spear. So minor details like that, it can get past you, but that's why we have multiple people looking at these, so we can get multiple eyes and ears on it.
awesome, Alex.
Yeah, man, I think you did a really good job. I love all the hand drawn, things. I always love that sort of creativity. And yeah, honestly, like this is my first semester part of the Spear, and our first magazine that we came out with, and then this one, like I feel like we're just killing it, and I can't wait till our third one comes out because we're working on that now. So I can't wait for that one to come out.
Yeah, I've been with like the Spear for what 3 semesters now, and I felt like there was not one way, but there was a particular way we wanted the Spear magazines to look like. But this 50th really showed that we can do something different, and there's possibilities in that. So yeah, you guys should be excited for the next one because we are doing more stuff that's different.
All right. Well, very exciting. Anything else? So we talked about your time with the Spear, your 3 semesters doing all these different magazines. Anything else you want to promote? Anything else that you've got going on?
Yeah, we're making videos on YouTube. Check out our YouTube. I posted 2 videos recently, so go on and check those out. And if you like them, we'll keep producing more YouTube videos.
All right. Yeah, that's the Sound of Sport. I saw that one
Yes.
yesterday. Awesome
Yes.
stuff. All right. Well, thank you so much, Anthony, for coming on. And everyone, go check out the 50th edition, which you can go get right now at Dwight Bentel Hall on San Jose State campus for free. And the 51st edition will be out soon.
Spartans triple win total from 2021, but more is still expected. At first glance, 2021 appeared dreadful for the Spartans as they amassed only 2 conference wins and ended on a 17-game losing streak. There are some big caveats that explain the poor showing, such as a pitching staff unable to stay healthy in dealing with COVID-19 restrictions. Through the turmoil, there weren't any front-page fiascos or combative relationships. Granted, COVID-19 did throw a wrench in some of these activities during fall of 2020 when teammates weren't able to watch college football together. There weren't any initial connecting points that led to cohesion. Stepping back, it's also important to recognize the Spartans are a little more than halfway through the season, which means the complacency ghoul can creep in and create a monumental collapse. Story by Matt Weiner.
Spartan softball shutout by UNLV. The first matchup in a 3-game series resulted in a loss for San Jose State softball against UNLV last Thursday, 5-0. The Spartans play 2 more games on Friday and on Saturday at the Spartan Softball Stadium, and that is a 3-game weekend series. Story by Zulma Kanahui.
Baseball's win streak snapped by UNLV. San Jose State baseball got its 4-game win streak snapped against the Rebels on Thursday, losing 13-12. The Spartans nearly overcame 2 big deficits, but ultimately fell short to UNLV in the series opener. Giving up 6 runs in the first inning is not an ideal way of starting a game. The Spartans did just that and dug themselves into a hole early. All the pressure was on Bowling to get the big hit and put the Spartans ahead of the Rebels. Bowling skied one to center, but the Rebels center fielder had plenty of time to camp underneath the ball and make the catch. Story by Jose Garcia.
Spartans fall short against a feisty Lobos team. The San Jose State women's tennis was outclassed by University of New Mexico, losing 4-2 in their matches. This was the Spartans' first matchup of a 4-game road trip to close out the regular season. Despite a hard-fought attempt to slow down the Lobos, the inexhaustible ferocity New Mexico came with was too much for SJSU to handle. The Spartans have now lost 6 of their last 7 matches, all of which have come against conference opponents. SJSU will continue to be tested in this area as their remaining games are against conference opponents. The Spartans looked to bounce back against Air Force on Saturday. The opening serve was at 1:30 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Story by Ricardo Garcia.
Spartans give up big runs against UNLV. San Jose State baseball lost to UNLV 13-7 in Game 2 of their 3-game series. After losing Game 1 by 1 run, the Spartans were fighting to tie up the series, but it was too little, too late. The Spartans gave up 4 more runs in the bottom of the 8th inning to find themselves down 13-4. In one final push in the top of the 9th, the Spartans scored 3 runs. Charles McAdoo hit a big triple to right center to make it a 13-7 ball game, but it was not enough to make up for their defensive lapse. Story by Aiden Bostic.
Spartans grind to a win at home against UNLV. The San Jose State softball team took home field on Friday afternoon, looking to even a 3-game series in which they had lost the day before against the UNLV Rebels team on a blistering hot home field, grinding out a 3-2 win. An optimistic Spartan offense was suffocated by the UNLV pitching to start the game, who held San Jose State without a hit through the first 3 innings. The Spartans tied the series against UNLV 1-1 and will look to edge out UNLV in their third game, which took place on Saturday at home, with the first pitch at 12 p.m. Story by Navin Krishnan.
2-3 loss for the Spartans. UNLV beat SJSU 2 out of the 3 games in their 3-game series. The first game resulted in a loss for the Spartans 5-0. SJSU came back to the second game with a win 3-2. The final game of the series resulted in a second loss for SJSU, where they lost 2-0. The Spartans will continue to make adjustments to keep them going, just realizing as a team what we need to tune up and fix before we go to Boise this weekend, said junior Trinity Edwards. Story by Zolma Kanahui.
Spartans put up season bests at Brian Clay Invitational. Men's track attended the Brian Clay Invitational for 3 days of events. The Spartans posted impressive numbers over the course of the weekend. Some Spartans put up strong performances, and it will be interesting to see if they can beat their own season highs as the season rolls on. The Spartans also competed in the Mount Sac relays over the weekend. Spartans are competing at the Fresno State Invitational on April 29th and 30th. Story by Aiden Bosich.
So I am here with Navin Krishnan. Navin is a writer for The Spear, and he covered the Spartans softball 1 win. They also lost twice against UNLV, but he covered their win against UNLV, and that happened on Friday afternoon, last Friday. And Navin, real quick, thank you for coming on the show, of course, and then also just take us through it. What was sort of the highlights of this victory the Spartans had?
Thanks, Thomas. Probably I would say the highlight for this game, this win, was definitely the pitching of Janessa Legwe. She stuck through it all the way through. She's definitely mentally tough. Is what I think the main take who got of is that she has leadership and mental toughness, and that's basically the DNA for this team. Is it comes with the pitching, and it's a young season. Obviously, they haven't had many wins, but I think that's definitely the staple of this team is, just mental toughness and confidence.
Yeah, so you talked about Yegoe not being able to play for a little while. So how long was she out? And then, I don't know, could you tell that she had an immediate impact on the team just from a more of a morale standpoint? You talk about their DNA and you talk about their identity from that point of view.
She was out. She was out a couple. I'm not sure how many games she was out, but her return definitely sparked the Spartans. I would say that you look as a traditional pitcher. I think that she definitely brings like a mentality to this team. She knows how to emphasize her leadership onto the team, and obviously when you talk about putting the pieces of the puzzle together in NCAA softball, confidence is a major factor, and I think that she showed that she had really a presence on the team, not just mentally, emotionally, but physically. Obviously, her pitching got them through the game, and she was able to shut down. I don't want to say shut down because they won by 1 point, but she contained a pretty good UNLV Rebels team.
Awesome, and this was the one victory, right? So we had 2 losses against the same team. Yegoe takes the field, and we're able to grind out a win, like you said, in sort of a grinded out, low-scoring game where the pitching and the defense really comes in handy. So what else besides the pitching? What gave the Spartans the edge here?
I would say I would like to steer away from the idea of luck or superstition. Obviously, this is plays a big factor in college sports, but I don't want to ruin the credit that these ladies have garnered over the past series. I think that definitely Olegwe, she's a born alpha leader, you know. And to put it in perspective, I think that the main how the Spartans were able to survive against UNLV, at least for a game, was basically just like the next woman up mentality. You know, I feel honestly that a lot of what's going on in their softball game reflects the Spartan spirit, and I just feel like they really interact. They're really hyped up, especially when the Ligua does well. You know, it gives like a morale boost to the rest of the team, and not just the team for that night, but like the whole season. Obviously, you know, success comes with confidence, and confidence is a building block for winning.
Yeah, and speaking of winning, I kind of wanted to go into more. You write about the first 3 or so innings of this game specifically. The Spartans weren't able to get much going on offense just because UNLV was really shutting them down. And then they were able to sort of capitalize on a few opportunities and bring it home. But for those first 3 innings or so, you know, what was the atmosphere like? What was the attitude like? Because, you know, when you're unsuccessful 3 times in a row, it can be pretty easy to get down on yourself. And were they more desperate? Were they just kind of keep their heads calm and collected? What could you see out there?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know, when I watched the Spartans play, the softball team, the one thing I took away from it is that they really know how to, you know, turn like nothing into something. They know how to, you know, grind out victories, like I said here. I think that the main takeaway from that is really just they play, you know, to the situation. They don't worry about momentum or like, you know, what's going to happen next. Or I mean, they were down, I think 2-0 in the beginning, and they just like suddenly burst open and just came away with this game. But you know, honestly, I think that the main thing that if you were there, the thing that I noticed is that like their confidence is just really surging. I mean, like honestly, you can't just go like obviously it was home field, but there are plenty of UNLV fans in the vicinity. But namely, I would say that they have guts. They have guts. They're really, really a tough team. They have guts. They have confidence. They have everything they need to win. Now it's just about putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And
Awesome.
I think that, yeah.
No, go ahead. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, I think that they not just feed off of crowd, but like I was saying, the inner Spartan spirit, just like believing in yourself, and you know, something that's not new to SSU students is, you know, obviously, you know what, Spartan up, you know, Spartan up, just keep it coming, you know, no matter whether you're down 20 or down 2, just keep at it, and you know, good things happen. Good things happen when you believe in yourself, and that's exactly what confidence bodes for this team.
Awesome. Anything else you wanted to say about this game, this series?
I'm looking forward to you know, like their future contests. You know, definitely softball is sometimes overshadowed by baseball, but I think that they're definitely right up there with the baseball team. I think that the Spartans are, you know, a young feisty group, and I feel like they can win a couple more games this season maybe, and obviously come in next season and start fresh, start with a clean slate.
All right. Navin K with the Spear. Navin, what else do you have going on with the rest of the with your writing? What else are you doing? Do you have anything in the works right now you want to plug?
Oh yeah, I have a men's basketball opinion article in the works. It's going to be posted sometime this week, if not next week. I would love to come back and talk about that too. Yeah, I think the Spartans are in a hole right now in terms of men's basketball, but obviously I will write about it, and I will get it in, and we can talk about that next time.
All right. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Thomas.
All right. Hold on 1 second.